Alright, what's good y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So allegedly, it's already February, and for Pokemon fans, you already know good and well what that means. The inevitable Pokemon Day Presents for 2024 is practically around the corner, and we're probably only a couple of weeks out from their inevitable announcement. Which means that we only have a couple of weeks to do some kind of speculation, so I decided that we may as well get on that before they even announce that the Pokemon Day Presents is happening. Now usually I am the one to give my predictions, my hopes, my wishes, and all that good stuff. However though, I took a step back, and since we haven't done this in a while, I figured I would let you guys run the show this time. Just under a week ago, at the time of this recording, I asked you guys what your wishes, hopes, and predictions were for this upcoming Pokemon Day. In just a couple of days, you guys gave me a hefty amount of responses, so I'm letting you guys run it. You guys know the drill. You guys give your opinion, and I simply respond to it. Naturally, of course, we're going to start with the opinions of the Discord homies, because Discord gets priority. So, if you want to get ahead of the game next time we do one of these, make sure you join our Discord. It's definitely the best place to know what I'm up to, have a couple of conversations with me and everybody in our community. It's a nice chill place, especially if you like debates. So, anyway, links in the description. Kicking things off this time, we have Devesta, who says, I just hope Pokemon is better, but I know better than to expect quality from the devs of Little Town Hero. First and foremost, dog, Little Town Hero is not the title of a game that I thought I would ever hear ever again, especially not in 2024 of all things. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Little Town Hero is probably one of the last completely original games that Game Freak developed outside of Pokemon. Initially, the concept didn't really grab me all that much because it looked extremely simple, although the character designs were really flashy and I enjoyed that kind of, and a lot of the music was composed by Toby Fox, so that's really cool. Other than that though, that game was not well received at all, nor did it sell well. At all. Like I said, Game Freak barely gets enough time as it is to create Pokemon. There was no way in hell that they actually had enough proper time to develop a side game that had nothing to do with their moneymaker. So yeah, they're probably never gonna do that again. I've never played it, I'm never going anywhere near it, but, you know, I'm glad that they tried something different, but it is unfortunate that that game kind of fell short of what people were expecting from the developers of Pokemon, especially for an RPG, but it kind of just went too far off the rails to really gravitate towards any real, like, specific base of people, so in turn, it didn't really gravitate toward anyone at all. One day, hopefully, they'll be able to truly spread their wings as actual developers and get to try something new, but until then, they are getting their next breathe down from Pokemon Company to make Pokemon games, and that's not changing for the foreseeable future, so yeah, we're gonna have to play that one by ear. Next along, we got the homie Maximus, who says, I would either like a new Pokken tournament or an update for it because I know the chances of it are low, but it's a great game. I have been contemplating rebuying Pokken Tournament for the Switch for so long now, it's not even funny. When I had that bad boy on Wii U, I was playing on the daily. I was playing online and everything. However, not a lot of my friends really got into that, and in turn, I ended up not playing very much because the online really sucked anyway with the one or two people that I did get to play with me. Cut to today, and I never purchased the re-release for Switch, and even if I did it now, I don't have people to play with me, and I don't really know what the online situation is looking like right now. My primary fear with Pokken Tournament is that I'm gonna pick that game up, and then there's only gonna be like 5 to 6 people online on a regular basis that I'm gonna end up fighting against, because I can't imagine that Pokken Tournament is still really active like that. I have not seen one person talking about Pokken Tournament in ages now, and it is truly alarming. Tekken 8 came out though, and I'm really considering that, so, you know, maybe I could just hop onto that, because Tekken 8 looks fire, boy. That game looks fire! I'll be completely honest, an update for Pokken Tournament as is would be probably really pointless because there's no way in hell they're revitalizing that game, but giving us a Pokken Tournament 2 would probably be the wave. You'd probably pick up a bigger, newer, consistent fan base, and people could learn all together. We could probably get like a new story or something like that, and it would be a great game to hold us off for the year, in my personal opinion. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely down with that. Next along here is True CBE, who says, My hopes are Gens 1 through 3 on NSO, and all the other gens not on Switch available on the Switch in some way. Pokemon Stadium 3, a Pokemon system like Showdown but legal for competitive and not requiring any of the other games, a sequel to Colosseum or Gale of Darkness, or remake. Any of these would be nice. I don't expect all or really any, but these are my wishes. TBH, it is really unfortunate that these have to be wishes. Getting the first couple generations of Pokemon on a console that can absolutely handle those first 3 games should not be that big of an ask, especially when said console has a dedicated service to allow something like that to happen. Porting over older games that people would actively enjoy for long periods of time is literally the quickest get-rich-quick scam that's barely a scam. Take advantage of that? Why has that not happened yet? It's companies like Pokemon Company, Nintendo, and etc. that are ironic as hell because they get mad at us for things like emulation and stuff like that, but then they don't give us any other way to play legacy content. So what do you expect people to do? It's literally as True CBE says here. Give us Gens 1 through 3 on NSO, Pokemon Stadium 3, or something very similar like it. Hell, even maybe port over Pokemon Stadium 2 and maybe update the graphics a little bit and just make it viable for online. And guess what? You have got a long-term, good-running service for people to enjoy. What is happening here? What are we missing? It is insane when the consumer tells you, hey, we will buy this thing at full price if you were to just give it to us, and you say, no, we're just gonna rush development on these things instead. Who's in charge of logistics here? Because I am certainly not getting it. And Colosseum and Gale of Darkness are absolute phenomenal gateway games for a lot of people, and I don't understand why those haven't even been looked at since GameCube. It is genuinely criminal, but we'll have to see what happens with those games. Maybe one of these days they'll fold and actually give us something that we want. But until then, we can only dream of playing as Seth again. So, we'll have to play that one by ear. The next one comes from Scoobs, who says, Gen 2 remakes or a Legends game set in Johto, Gens 1 through 3 on Switch, and Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness with maybe a new spin-off of some kind. I've been honest with you guys before, and even though I'm not really all that attached to Generation 2 when it comes to Pokemon, I would most likely still play it if they were to give us proper remakes and stuff like that. However, I'm not really that excited for remakes anymore given the circumstances that we've been put in. They're not gonna give us remakes of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which means that we're either left with Pokemon Let's Go Johto or a Legends game, and I don't see them making another Legends game anytime soon, to be honest with you. Everything else there we talked about, but it is kind of crucial to reiterate because it is kind of ridiculous that we haven't gotten any of that stuff. However, I would be very happy if we were to receive some form of new spin-off game. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's big, as long as it's fun, and as long as it's not mainline and made by Game Freak. You can literally hire Bandai or somebody else to handle a spin-off game. God, let somebody else use the IP for 5 minutes, and I promise you, you could get some really damning results, man. You could get some really sick, awesome results from that. No doubt. Last up from the Discord side is Matt, who says, I'm expecting another Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, a new game, or a remake. A lot of you already know by now that I have vividly expressed my concerns when it comes to the future of spin-off games. Especially with the state of Detective Pikachu 2 and all of the live service games that we have, I don't really see it happening for a good while now, to be honest with you. However, it was a mere 4 years ago that we received Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team remakes in the form of DX. So, it's not impossible that they've been working on a remake for Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky all this time. Or hell, maybe they were working on a new one entirely, which would be honestly even better. We'll have to see when the time comes, but for now, I'm not going to hold out too much hope for a Mystery Dungeon game, but if it happens, I would be absolutely beside myself. Ecstatic, even. Moving over to the YouTube side, first up we have Jev1620, who says, make Pokemon survive. It's gonna be just fine. Pokemon is not going anywhere. They still have more money than most, movie companies or anything like that. It is the biggest, most financially successful medium in its genre. it just wins. No matter what it is a frickin' empire. I've said this before. Pokemon's gonna survive. Not in the way that we want it to survive, but it's gonna be just fine. There's nothing to worry about. Next along, Dante Infernape, who says, the only thing I want to see here is them old DS, GBA, and 3DS games getting ported to the Switch. I'm trying to play Platinum and Emerald on the big screen. Do you see what I'm saying here? This is probably the third time already that we've gotten this, and yet they don't want to do that for whatever reason. We have given them the blueprint, the golden egg, the goose, and they just don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's very alarming to me. When I sit here and tell you that most of us would be more than happy to just receive a couple of ports and maybe a spin-off and we'd be good for the year, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. We don't need a mainline game this year. And I think even the younger audiences are starting to understand that. I think that the original generations of 1 through 3 are very much viable for them to port, but I don't see them porting over any of the DS or 3DS games anytime soon, considering the fact that as far as the DS era goes, we have Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which they think is our way to play Pokemon Platinum or whatever. But hey, if they were to put it on the service, I would gladly play it, cause why the hell not? Right after that is another homie, it's your boy, who says, nothing core. I'd say nothing from Game Freak, but there's always something from Ilka. Genuinely, I wouldn't mind just a spin-off from another studio. Or nothing. Absolutely, 1000%, yes, I completely agree with that. That's freaking hilarious that at this point, it's like 5 for 5s when it comes to wishes that nobody wants anything mainline. That's crazy. We've made it more than clear that we would be absolutely happy with something else from a different studio. And what people don't really seem to understand is that Ilka in of themselves are not bad developers. I'll say it again, One Piece Odyssey was absolute fire. I played that game thoroughly, and I had an amazing time with it. It felt good, it played good, and, you know, it was a little bit of a rehash considering the fact that they pretty much just followed the main story of One Piece and then gave us some other little thing at the end. But, for the most part, it was still a pretty damn good game, I'd say. Give Ilka free reign with Pokemon, and I feel like they could really give us something immaculate. But even if it's not Ilka, there are so many other studios that you could reach out to help you with this kind of thing to make spin-off games. You already did with Pokemon Snap just a couple of years ago, so why not? Let somebody else take a crack at Pokemon while you guys focus on the big main stuff for next year or the year after. We're not going anywhere. It's crazy to me. It truly is. But moving on. Next along is Vixenixel, who says, I'm one of the Pokemon fans that doesn't play any games and only watches and listens to the content, so for me, I just want more Scarlet and Violet's story. I love the characters and think they are the best in all of Pokemon. Also, you cheated a little bit here with the second comment. However, obviously your comment here ripped me enough to make me not even realize that it was you putting a second comment. But it says, my wish that would probably never come true is a simple sim-like game where we just have a day-to-day with our Pokemon. Think the Pokemon Cafe and Pokemon Sleep art style in a farming, collecting, cooking, maybe even some battling in an Animal Crossing-esque simulator. Now, when it comes to your first comment, that is 100% mega valid. I am pretty much the same way with Five Nights. I play Five Nights here and there, but I mostly watch the content, so I absolutely understand where you're coming from. It's also really funny that you mentioned this, because in one of my previous videos, I mentioned that I am a full-on advocate for Scarlet and Violet sequels. The characters are great, Paldea deserves another chance because I think that the concept of Paldea is really good, and I feel like we should take more time to explore that in a better designed version of it. As ridiculous as it probably sounds, if we're gonna get anything this year, I think that my favorite thing to receive would be Scarlet and Violet sequels. It's pretty much a win-win for everybody. They get to use the exact same assets, but they just have to create a new story and new ways to involve these characters in said story, and you've got yourself a money printer, easily. Obviously, I would want them to upscale and re-optimize the game a little bit, but once they've done that, they've got something phenomenal on their hands. They do not have to put in that much more work to give us more Generation 9. It is legitimately that easy. However though, given what happened the last time they gave us sequels, I'm not sure if they're ever going to do that again. However, it is very ironic that they heavily lean towards Generation 5 stuff in this generation's DLC, so We'll have to see what happens with that. As far as your second comment goes, that I also absolutely agree with, which is why I found that in the first place. The concept that you described in of itself is absolutely already perfect. However, it's even more viable when you consider the fact that it could be something that follows the lines of Pokemon Concierge, a series in which we are following the story of a young woman who is a concierge at a Pokemon resort. It's got pretty much everything that you could need in a concept to make a game like this possible. A Pokemon resort or hotel where you're helping out Pokemon with certain situations. Maybe you gotta help some of them battle sometimes. Maybe they gotta defend themselves. Maybe you need to get certain Pokemon certain pillows or certain setups or help them find their way somewhere. It would literally be that easy, and I would always play it. Unless they completely drop the ball like they did with Animal Crossing New Horizons. However, the concept is there, and they could absolutely make it work if they put some real time into it. We got another big one here from Wexler8368, who says, "This might be unpopular because of one part of this, but I want a Crystal remake made by Ilka. I know BDSP was extremely underwhelming, but I believe they deserve a second shot. Plus, they could make it compatible with BDSP and give them a second life of their own. Another reason I say this is because it could open the door to having more people at Game Freak work on the Generation 10 games. If they're not going to allocate for more time for development, they could meet in the middle and allocate for more resources. Anyway, I'm looking forward to whatever they have to give us on the 27th. It is legitimately, like I just said a moment ago, Ilka in of themselves are not bad developers. They were just never given a real chance. The only reason Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl turned out the way that it did is because Ilka was rushed. They never even got the chance to truly flex what they had. And inherently, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl isn't bad, it's just that it gives us pretty much nothing and no reason to buy it. But that's not really their fault. They were under some pretty strict guidelines, I had to imagine. I mean, you guys gotta remember, that is the first time in Pokemon history that another company handled a mainline set of games. That has never happened before. I know for a fact that Pokemon Company had guns to their balls rushing them to finish these games, and Game Freak, who was probably nervous about what would happen from the higher brass, made sure that they made those games quote-unquote properly. But it's pretty much as you said. At the very least, if they had somebody like Ilka working on the Gen 2 remakes, it would at least give a little bit of time for Game Freak to come together a little bit more and work on Generation 10 or whatever the next big other project is that we have coming our way. However though, I'll be completely honest with you. If I was Ilka, I probably wouldn't want to work with Pokemon Company or Game Freak after that, because honestly, that tarnished their reputation a little bit. Because of what happened, Ilka is now forever known as that one company that made the remakes for 4th gen that came out really bad. So bad, in fact, that people don't even really want remakes anymore. That is crazy. Whatever the case may be, if they end up making some kind of Gen 2 remakes and it happens to be Ilka under the belt, then fine, whatever. As long as it gets Game Freak to kick it into high gear, come together, and have enough resources at the very least to make something really quality in comparison to what we got with Scarlet and Violet. That's fine by me. Next up here we have Big Lady in 4008, who says, if they do release a new main series title, then Gen 10 would need to be released in 2026. I do not want it to be like Legends Arceus, where after the game comes out, Game Freak just forgets about it and moves straight to the next generation. I'm assuming what you mean by this is that they take this year and next year to focus on whatever this upcoming title is, and then release Generation 10 in 2026 or later. And if that's the case, then I absolutely don't blame you, because there is absolutely no reason as to why they completely abandoned Pokemon Legends Arceus. They could have easily given us a little DLC thing to last us the rest of that year, and we probably would have been fine. We did not need Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in that year. If it makes you feel better though, I don't think we're getting Generation 10 anytime soon, probably not even within the next 2 years. I give it at least 3 or 4. Like I've said plenty of times before, there is absolutely no reason for them to move away from Generation 9 now. We are still just getting started. We don't even have the mainline anime yet. So I think Gen 10 is well enough away. So for now, whatever they're cooking, let's just hope that Generation 10 has more time to cook. As much extra time as they could possibly take. We got another little one from Mega Eevee 7, who says, I only have 2 hopes, and that is Pokemon Ranger or Pokemon Rumble. I will keep it 100 and a buck with you. I am indifferent on Pokemon Rumble. If they were to give us Pokemon Rumble as the main thing, fine, as long as it's not the main thing. I don't know anything about Pokemon Rumble. I don't know if I would even play it, but if it comes our way, that would be absolutely awesome. Great, and I'm happy for everybody that would want that. On the other hand, Pokemon Ranger as a concept absolutely terrifies me, because a couple of weeks ago somebody mentioned the possibility that Pokemon Ranger could very well end up as a live service game, considering the fact that it would be much easier to utilize mechanics like that on a phone, and I'm not sure that I want that. But that's also just it though. I'm not exactly sure how mechanics for Pokemon Ranger would even work on the Switch. So, yeah, I'm not sure how to go about that thought anymore. But hey, if we get a new Pokemon Ranger, I'll be just as ecstatic as anybody else, and I will probably play it. We got another one here from T-Lock Revelk that says, best case scenario, the big game this year is just a port or maybe GBA ports this time. Worst case scenario, we get something that's in between Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus. My biggest hope is that they stick to their word of reevaluating the release cycle. It probably won't happen, but if they do, we might not see its effects until Generation 11, given how far out they plan. That's not 100% true though, because yeah, they could plan out super far. However, delays are very much a thing, and if they're thinking about it now, it's not impossible for them to just slow down a little bit. It's never too late. As long as the game is not yet released and sold to the public, there is still plenty of time to put any fixes and big changes in for said game. I don't remember 100% what the entire quote was, but I believe it was Miyamoto that said that a rushed game is forever bad. And that's something that pretty much every game developer should always live by, because it's always true. Unrelated to Pokemon for a second, when you look at the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, it kind of went through a very similar thing, but with a lot less money and a lot less of an empire to back them up. When Sonic Boom released, it nearly killed the entire franchise, and so the team actually finally took a step back and realized what was happening. And so, they managed to actually take a step back, develop a little bit in the background, and give us some more quality stuff over these last couple of years. Sonic is becoming a very big and beloved franchise again through multiple means because they slowed down and reevaluated a little bit. And I feel like Pokemon can absolutely do the exact same thing if they were to take the time to do so. They can plan out as much as they want, however, there's gonna be a breaking point where everything crashes and burns, and Scarlet and Violet was really damn close. Although, not that close. It made so much money that it's now the third highest selling Pokemon game in history, so yeah, that's alarming. But the point is, it's not too late for them to just stop and think for 5 minutes. Hey, maybe this is not a good road to go down because our consumers are starting to not trust us anymore. I know for a fact that there's going to be a couple of people in the comments saying, oh, Power World's better, everybody should just start playing Power World and well, yada yada yada, whatever. And that's fine, you could totally believe that, and I completely get it, Power World's fun and all. It's not beating out Pokemon though. It's not going to be a sustainable thing for years to come. I mean, maybe they could keep updating it, maybe they could give us more and stuff like that, but it's not beating an empire like Pokemon respectfully, okay? They got lucky because they struck gold in an area where nobody was really looking to try and compete that heavy. Pokemon's only true opposition is themselves, and the only reason so many people are looking at Power World with rose-tinted glasses is because they want Pokemon to be better, and they're hoping that Power World's success will really make them kick themselves into high gear. That is it. Power World is not being talked about within the next couple of months. Believe me. And on the off chance that it is, that would be absolutely insane. But either way, you get what I'm getting at. Now, because it is getting kind of late in the video and I'm getting kind of tired, we're gonna give the last one to Ninja Geek, who says, call me crazy, but the only video game news I want to hear is that the next release is being delayed so that they have enough time to complete the project properly. Bug fixing, optimization for the hardware, etc. Unlike what happened with Scarlet and Violet. This video pretty much speaks for itself. Everybody's general wish is that we don't get anything major this year and that the devs actually have time to fix whatever they are working on completely, to actually complete their project in the vision that they see for it. They could absolutely say in this Pokemon Day Direct that, yeah, they're taking another year or so to actually optimize this game, make it look good, so that we have something to look forward to by 2025 or whatever. However, I think that their biggest W would be if this Pokemon Presents ended with them announcing nothing. Just absolutely nothing for the upcoming year. No one more thing, no end of the year drop, nothing for the holidays. You guys do not realize how ecstatic my reaction would be if that screen just faded to black and there was nothing to look forward to for the year. I would be clapping, crying. I would be very pleased, because that would mean that they finally paid attention and that we might finally win for once. Do I have faith in them to do something like that? Absolutely not. But I think that everybody's highest hopes for this year would be to get nothing. Just nothing. And one can only dream that we don't get a situation like Scarlet and Violet again. I love Scarlet and Violet, but those games needed so much time to cook, and they could have been the perfect Pokemon games. But this is where we're at. So yeah, we will play that by ear and see what happens this upcoming Pokemon Day. Okay, so I have made multiple videos today. Now my voice is exhausted, and yet I'm not done. I got work to do because I have been hella behind. I've been playing the hell out of Persona 3 Reloaded. Oh my god, like I didn't think that this remake would have me this captivated like this. I almost forgot how good Persona 3 was. And then I have to beat it before Final Fantasy comes out at the end of this month. I'm gonna lose my mind. And then I want to play Grand Blue too? This is so bad. My wallet is in danger, you guys. But we're not here to talk about that. What we're here to talk about, yeah, take the mic. Excellent. Yeah, we're here to talk about your opinions on Pokemon Day 2024. For those of you who didn't get the chance to catch what I, put out for the community posts and all that, what are your guys' thoughts on everything? Do you guys think that we're going to have a good Pokemon Day 2024? Do you think that we're going to get hyped? Do you think that they're going to give us something really cool and grand, a spin-off game, and maybe some mainline game that actually looks really, really good? Or do you think that they're going to fumble the bag once again, give us something at the end of the year that looks like absolute dog crap, and we're all going to be super unhappy and unsatisfied by the time we get it around the holiday season? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be Skedaddle o'clock. So, I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So, thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.